According to the textbook America at Odds, written by Edward Sidlow and Beth Henshin, the ratio of Mexicans in America in comparison to whites is rapidly changing, and the Spanish language is growing in frequency of use. Many believe that Mexican immigration is not positive for the American economy because taxpayers will be paying for adults with little education, multiple children, and few work skills. The America at Odds textbook states immigrants without a high school degree now head about one-third of immigrant households. Researcher Robert E. Rector has estimated that each of these households costs U.S. taxpayers almost $20,000 per year. Many are opposed to the idea of paying for the health care and the cost of living for poverty-stricken Hispanics who often come here illegally. Americans agree on the need for skilled laborers, but Americans opposed to the increasing Hispanic population within the country also believe that jobs are taken by unskilled Mexican laborers who will work for low wages, ultimately decreasing the amount of jobs for the American worker. Those who do not oppose the rising Mexican population within the U.S. bring up a relevant question: who and what is an American? One of their arguments is that the typical American citizen today has ancestors that immigrated to America. Whites took the whole of the United States by subjugating Native Americans. California and New Mexico flourished with Hispanic communities long before Anglo-Saxon Americans intruded in order to expand west. Many believe that it is not right to restrict immigration, as every American at one point, besides those of Native American ancestry, are descendants of immigrants. Many believe that immigration is what makes the United States such a powerful country, and actually contributes to our high standard of living. They believe that cultural diversity is the heartbeat of America, and that this country was defined on the principles that anyone who worked hard could succeed, and that America is the land of opportunity. Even though American society has always been a multicultural society, it is made obvious by today's media that some Americans fear that rising numbers of immigrants will threaten traditional American political values and culture. The American at Odds textbook states that whites are already the minority in California, and by the year 2060, non-Hispanic whites will be the minority in the United States, and Hispanics will account for 30% of the entire country. At one point, the Southwest had prevalent Mexican communities long before whites came to these areas. During the gold rush, Anglo-Saxons came and overwhelmed the native Mexican Californians, taking their land. During this time, Mexican Americans were promised certain rights, but they were not given equal citizenship, and were discriminated against on a whole series of levels, not just because they were Spanish-speaking, not just because they were dark, but because they were Catholic, so there were really 3 strikes against them. Since the start of the 1990s, there has been great public debate on immigration. This has resulted in an upsurge in American nativism, and the result has become a withholding of multiple services to immigrants and stronger regulations in order to police the Mexican border. The neo-Nazi group White Pride Worldwide prides itself on its dislike for other races and cultures and believes they are taking American civilization back. Other groups opposed to illegal immigration only are the Border Guardians, an anti-illegal immigration organization. Neo-Nazi and white supremacist groups often advocate the use of intimidation, violence, and racial slurs such as spics, dogs, wetbacks, and paisas towards Hispanics, and any non-white group for that matter. The spotlight is on Mexicans at present due to the Mexican drug wars taking place on both sides of the border, in which Mexican drug cartels use violence and means to gain power and control. American teenagers are often the target as drug mules, in which they are paid to smuggle drugs across the border to America for the Mexican drug cartels. This accounts for some of the upswing in the activity of the anti-Mexican hate groups. Other reasons for much of the opposition to Mexican immigration is motivated by money. Recently, President Obama delivered a speech on health care reform, and he specifically stated that illegal immigrants would not benefit from his plan. During this statement, Congressman Joe Wilson of South Carolina angrily shouted, "You lie!" Many Obama supporters were outraged, but many others supported Joe Wilson, praising him for his outburst. Many Hispanics are crying out to be heard on this topic, so today we will address a first-generation Mexican-American who is the father of an interracial child and whose parents immigrated to America. Many questions will be asked about the hardships they have faced and the prejudice against them, along with their experience of working, living, and raising a family in the United States. Mexican-American. His father, Antonio Hernandez, moved to Oxnard, California at 14 years old to go to high school and work picking the fields. After serving in the Vietnam War, he gained citizenship and raised his family with the opportunities he never had. His mother, Maria, grew up in poverty. The oldest of 7 brothers and sisters, and no father, she became responsible very fast, selling tamales as a child on the streets to make ends meet. She soon illegally immigrated to America in search of opportunities. So, Eduardo, why did your family want to come to America?
My parents came to America because of more job opportunities and to make money. Also, America is a better place to raise a family because of education and government. Let's face it, we're comparing a third world country to a first world country, and everyone wants the best for their family.
Eduardo, do you think your parents have a sense of patriotism living here in America?
Yes, my father served in the Vietnam War and went to high school in Oxford, California. He's extremely patriotic, and to this day still waves the American flag outside his house. And my mom gained her citizenship by passing a series of tests that had to do with patriotism.
Discriminated against since you lived in America?
Yes, my parents experienced discrimination, especially because they came here in the 60s. My mother was often embarrassed by her employer that a factor because of her English. Also, she had limited career opportunities as a Mexican woman. She worked as a nanny for upper-class families in Orange County. Oftentimes, they tried to pay her less than minimum wage, which was discrimination.
Family take advantage of welfare programs while living here in America?
Actually, no. My father started off in agriculture, picking the fields, but eventually my family achieved the American dream as my dad got a well-paying job and worked for the city of San Clemente. We were very fortunate that hard work paid off because my family did not need welfare. Mexican culture brings a lot of richness and diversity to the U.S. with music, delicious foods, entertainment, churches, politicians like the mayor of Los Angeles, dancing, a strong emphasis on family and community, and most importantly, tequila.